Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to my reaction to the reactions of Spider-Man No Way Home. If you know me well, my name's Mick, by the way. I'm a straight talker, not a shiller. So let's be absolutely clear here. Cameos do not make a great movie, right? No matter how huge the cameos. I'll give you an example. An example I've given on my channel many times. Tom Welling appeared in Crisis on Infinite Earths. It was a shit cameo because they decided, not the creators of Smallville by the way, but they decided, right, the people behind the Arrowverse, that Clark Kent from Smallville wouldn't be Superman anymore. He put a blue kryptonite ring on, took away his powers, and became a house husband. There's nothing wrong with being a house husband, being at home with your wife, being a male homemaker. But this is Superman. So from the iconic Smallville, they downgraded this iconic version of Superman. And this is what happens when you take an iconic character from an iconic series or movies or movie series and bring him back years later, bring him or her back years later. They give you their own perception of what the character should be today, and that's a problem. I have not seen Spider-Man No Way Home, but we know that critics are shillers, and there's a lot of dishonesty about these initial reactions, and there's a lot of dishonesty within reviews, especially about the MCU. So should we check out these reactions? So first, Spider-Man No Way Home reaction surfaced online by Adam Barnhart of Comic Book. After months and months of speculation and absolutely wild fanfare, members of the press finally got to see Spider-Man No Way Home in its entirety. Monday night, Sony and Marvel Studios teamed up for the world premiere of Marvel Cinematic Universe's third solo Spider-Man movie, with plenty of celebrities and members of the media in attendance. Now that some moviegoers have had the chance to see the movie, the social embargo has lifted and people are tweeting their first reactions to the highly anticipated feature. As expected, most are praising the movie's massive scope and its ambitious plot, intertwined with plenty of a heart, and most are saying it includes more emotion than one would think. Keep scrolling to see what people are saying. Brian Truitt, Spider-Man No Way Home is probably the best time I've had in theatres since Endgame. Tom Holland just owns the thing, and even though it's absolutely insane at times, it's such a Spidey movie. What do we get from a reaction like that? Well, absolutely nothing. We've got to remember these people have literally just come out the cinema, the movie theatre. I've done it before. I've been so hyped. Although, these are the people who said Justice League was an awesome movie as well in their initial reactions. Anyway, Peter Sirata, Spider-Man No Way Home feels a movie version of a big comic book event miniseries a la Batman Hush. Really? It was more emotional than I was expecting. It justifies the ending I didn't like from Far From Home and sends the franchise in an exciting direction. Matt Romsbike, TheDirect.com, Spider-Man No Way Home makes you feel every feeling you could possibly feel. It is a 2.5 hours of non-stop emotion, action, quips and heart. Everything you want from a Peter Parker story. It has never been a better time to be a Spider-Man fan. I would beg to differ. I think after during Raimi's era, I think that was the best time to be a Spider-Man fan. But I have not seen this movie, so I can't dispute these claims. Kevin Polloway, Spider-Man No Way Home is epic. Really impressed how much it delivers. One might even say it over-delivers. Funny, frenetic, ultimately really emotional. Can't imagine any Spidey fans will be disappointed. In other words, you dare be disappointed in this film and you're not a Spider-Man fan. Do you see where we're going with this? Eric Davis, I can confidently say Spider-Man No Way Home is the best live-action Spider-Man movie. A thrilling, emotional end to the Homecoming trilogy, but also a smart, fun and exciting tribute to 20 years of Spider-Man movies. both hilarious and heartbreaking, and I honestly loved every second. Now, I like Eric Davies. He's a good journalist. I like him. But Eric is also a huge shill. He's one that is very rarely negative about anything. So you can't, I haven't seen the movie, so it may well be the best Spider-Man movie ever. But again, are you telling me this because you liked the cameos? Or are you telling me this because it's actually a good film? And there's a big difference here. You know, Crisis on Infinite Earths had some lulls in some of the episodes, but there were some great moments. But it doesn't make it a great event series. Some people will tell me it is a great event series, and some people will tell me it is not. Anyway, saw Spider-Man No Way Home earlier today, and it definitely lived up to the hype. It's dark, full of emotion, and packed with surprises. I can't wait to see it again with a crowd. The performances alone make this something you don't want to miss. When you focus on the performances, that may say something negative about the movie. Heads up to look into what's being said in these initial reactions. Kirsten, Spider-Man No Way Home is simply amazing. Every scene of William Dafoe is great. A love letter to the fans. I don't even want to say anything else. I love Homecoming. When someone says they love Homecoming, you can't trust a word they say. But this may be my favourite of the trilogy. Can't wait to see it again. Spider-Man No Way Home is set to release on December 17th, blah, 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 blah. So these are some of the reactions. I'm just going to press pause because there's some other stuff from the reactions I want to relay to you. So Brandon Davis is another shill. I'm not saying he's a bad person, he's a good journalist, but he's a shill. Most of these people now are MCU shills, and it's no good. This is not good journalism anyway. Spider-Man No Way Home is undoubtedly the biggest, the most emotional, and possibly the best Spider-Man movie ever. Need to sit with it and decide. It's hard to imagine topping this one. Like, genuinely hard to imagine getting more than this movie gives you as a Spider-Man fan. So, again, are we talking about what it's given us in terms of cameos instead of a film? We are not reviewing films and judging films on films anymore, on the storytelling, on the free acts. We are just saying, way, best movie ever. Don't forget, these are the people who said Wonder Woman 84 was the right movie for the right time. What a disguised negative reaction. So very interesting there. Now this is Brandon Katz. Now this is quite an interesting reaction. Spider-Man No Way Home feels a bit like an Avengers 4.5. It's not a perfect movie and I have some criticism, but my main concern that Tom Holland's Peter Parker arc would be lost in all this was not the case at all. Very emotional, Peter Parker's story that ties it all together. Here's the thing for me, Tom Holland is, you know, he's a generational talent, as Zendaya is a generational talent. I love the fact that these two are a couple. They're two of the nicest people in Hollywood. But he does have some concerns. That's interesting. He calls it an Avengers 4.5. Now, that's interesting as well. So again, like Civil War, this isn't really a true Spider-Man film in a way, but in another way, it is. Now for me, Tom Holland is a great actor. As I said, he's a generational talent, but he's nowhere. He was awesome in Civil War. He hasn't been that awesome since Civil War because the Russos should have been in charge of the Spider-Man movie franchise, and it would have been those first two movies for me that suck and are so mediocre and empty, right? You know, so what they've done here is gone, shit, you know, the first two movies underserved. You know, what are we going to do here? Because it's obvious that they're underwhelming movies. Oh, I know. We'll do this big, you know, they saw what Sony did with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Let's basically do the same thing and kind of light up our multiverse strategy at the same time. I know, let's bring Spider-Man that people actually like come in and are interested in. Let's bring the villains that people actually liked and enjoyed from the other films, because we can't create a good villain in the MCU to save our fucking lives. This is the thing here. And then let's leak it out and then deny it. Best marketing ever. But does this make a great movie? That's the question. Let's go back on what Brandon said. Feels a bit like Avengers 4.5. It's not a perfect movie. And I have some criticism. Now that's an interesting thing to say, right? Because nobody else is saying this. There's always one. It's going to be a very interesting film to view. I think most people are going to come from out the movie theatre and say, best movie ever. Anyway, we go on. Now Collider have got a review here. So let's check this out. If we can get on it. It's getting there, it's getting there. So basically, I'm not surprised by any of these reactions. Spider-Man No Way Home review. Tom Holland shines in a too crowded MCU multiverse. Interesting. If only history had examples of a Spider-Man movie with too many villains. Yeah, you see, that's sarcasm from Spider-Man 3. But by the way, I think Raimi's Spider-Man 3 is a fine movie. I don't think it's as awesome as the first two movies, but I still think it's a good kind of ending to the trilogy. And we'll see if this film does better. And I'm not talking about cameos and all of that as a film. Anyway, this is by Vinny Mascuso from Collider. Trying to write a spoiler-free review of Spider-Man No Way Home is like trying to craft a restaurant review while being barred from mentioning any ingredient other than salt. The flavour of Tom Holland's third standalone outing as the MCU's Peter Parker lives and dies on its surprises. It's less a movie than it is a series of capital letter moments. Exactly. This is what I always feared, and I knew this was going to be the thing. And this is exactly what people have accused the Flash movie of doing. It's going to be interesting if the Flash movie and Andy Muschietti do a better job of this situation, because they're going to have just as many characters, you know, that we've known from the past and from the DCEU. Will it be the same thing, or will it be a better movie? Interesting. Designed from the group up to be relived for years to come in those hidden cell phone YouTube clips of audiences losing their minds in the aisles of an AMC Rest Assured, the moments promised by the trailers are in there, as well as a few more moments you're maybe already expecting, plus a dozen or so legitimately surprising moments nobody could have guessed. It's all thrilling in the same way. The sudden drop on a roller coaster makes your stomach flutter, brief and weightlessness, because after 13 years and 26 feature films, Marvel Studios is kind of unbeatable at manufacturing that specific brand of shared movie theatre euphoria. And that's the thing. They are unrivaled in that. But this is what Martin Scorsese is trying to say. It is literally an amusement park ride. This is what they do. And they're getting away with it because the kids love it. The kids love it, you see. And I can't attack the kids for loving it, because if I was a young person today, I wouldn't see through what's going on here. That it's killing the variety in Hollywood, that this is all we're getting. Right. The MCU remains undefeated at making moments, but is it good at making movies? No, it's not. No Way Home swings that question into even dicier territory, especially when it's got a cast this talented and the core of classic Spider-Man story. This emotional, being pulled in every direction possible by the multiverse. Right, the multiverse, possibly even one of madness. It isn't fair to say the setup of this film doesn't matter, but it does feel like the movie itself is bored with motions it has to sweat through to get to the part where Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus clanks his way back into the Marvel Universe. The part where Peter is accused of Quentin Beck's Jake Gyllenhaal's murder basically hand-waved away quicker than anyone could have predicted. Not surprised. Peter asking Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch to perform a spell on the entire human race to make them forget Spider-Man's real identity. Sure, he'll do it. Strange and Spider-Man have had at least 1-2 meaningful on-screen interactions. What matters is that the spell is botched and reality is torn open just enough to allow it in characters you recognise from previous Spider-Man films, namely Molina's Doc Ock, William Dafoe's Green Goblin, Jamie Foxx's Electro, Rhys Ifans' Lizard, and Thomas Hayden Church's Sandman. Look, I'm not going to say it isn't a dang blast just to see these actors return to these roles in the year of our Lord 2021. I'm a human being with a soul and nostalgic memories of Chad Kroeger's hero dancing around my head like the rest of you. Sometimes Alfred Molina chucking several cars at Tom Holland is in fact all you need. If the one thing you're looking for from Spider-Man No Way Home is a trip down memory lane, it will quite literally be impossible to harsh your buzz. Dafoe especially makes the most of his reprisal. It certainly helps that William Dafoe, faced frighteningly rubbery as ever, is one of our greatest living performers. Director John Watts really lets the actor play around in the murky Jekyll and Hyde layers between Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. Now this is one of my highlights of the Raimi era. Still trapped inside the pointy emerald head in ways even the Sam Raimi films wouldn't allow, and the result is a tasty bit of comic book camp, and that's why Raimi didn't allow it. But the threads weaving together all those bombastic set pieces and surprise cameos, exciting as they are, loud as in the theatre pop will be, are so thin. You start to notice the table setting to a distracting degree. Almost none of the returning villains feel like living characters anymore. They're just avatars who stand still until it's time to do their next big loud thing. Existing only to be recognisable, this is especially true in the cases of Lizard, 99% a personality-free CGI presence, indistinguishable from every other CGI comic book monster, and Electro, who Jamie Foxx has decided to strip of every defining character trait other than the fact that he's played by Jamie Foxx. Eventually, even nostalgia drips away, and you realise the multiverse is mostly just too crowded for anything to actually breathe. And this has been my point about Spider-Man No Way Home versus the Flash movie. When you're doing these things, and you can't have an overcrowded multiverse. The multiverse means multiple universes, multiple Earths, multiple versions of these Marvel and DC characters. You can do that. But once you just throw them in there just so you can make money, and you're not doing anything with it, like this critic seems to be alleging, then you do have a bit of a problem. But as I say, you fans, you kids out there are going to love this film, and all power to you. Which is a real shame, because every aspect of No Way Home that hones in specifically on the story of Peter Parker is fantastic, led by a never been better Tom Holland. There's a truth at the centre of this movie that's true of every great Spider-Man story, that the character is primarily defined by his response to unthinkable loss, to monumental tragedy. With great power comes great responsibility, only hits home if Peter gets a glimpse at the darker side of the equation, at how easily his power could be corrupted. Holland gets to sell rage in a way we've never seen from him, which is almost single-handedly justifies the MCU's decision to portray its Spider-Man as more childishly naive than bookishly smart. Here, when we see the character both break down and grow up, it is genuinely jarring. Even as the film adds more characters, Peter, Ned, Jacob, Battler, extremely charming, and MJ Zendaya are amazing, remain its beating heart. But I don't believe that this cast has ever been a beating heart for the first two movies. It's actually interesting, because Zendaya is a generational talent. And Jacob is a great little actor, and is that his name? I think that's his name, I've only just read it. And obviously Tom is awesome. Could be the next Doctor Who. Never know. But the point is, on screen, I don't see the chemistry between Tom and Zendaya, and they're a couple in real life. So think about how many mistakes they've made here with the first two films. It's interesting, because Superman the movie and Superman 2, production problems and all, is the beginning of a great franchise, but Superman 3 doesn't continue those threads, and it misses. Superman 4 is an absolute disaster, but it has a special place in my heart. But the first two Superman movies work, where for me, Homecoming and Far From Home don't work on any emotional level for me at all. So if they've done a third movie that fixes those problems, fair enough, but you still haven't got a cohesive trilogy. Beating heart, and all the extra bells and whistles mostly drowned that out. Again, all of the details left out of this review could fill their own multiverse surprises. Call back small character beats that pack an emotional wallop. One significant A-story decision that brings to mind comic book storytelling's worst tendency. It's all there, good, bad, and in between. But No Way Home itself is pretty clear on this point. Getting exactly what you wished can be a sloppy deal indeed. So, this journalist, so we've read all the reactions and we've read this review. I'm surprised at Collider. Collider are the people who denied the Snyder Cut existed. By the way, this is the very site that is, refusing to support an awards ceremony, right? So I'm surprised that we've had such an honest kind of, it's a really good review. The guy says, yeah, the bells and whistles, it's great to see these characters, we're all going to get excited. But as a cohesive movie, it doesn't really work. Emotionally, it doesn't really work. Now they're praising Tom Holland. So you and I will have to go and see this movie to see what kind of movie this actually is. But let's be honest here. We were never getting excited about this film because it was about the cohesion of the movie. It's doing what the MCU and Fake has always done. Since they did the first Avengers, they realised, oh my God, people like seeing these characters together. Let's keep on doing it. Let's do origin movies and just throw characters in there. Let's do sequels and throw characters in there. Let's do a third movie and do the same thing. We saw it with Captain America Civil War. We even saw it with the Winter Soldier. There was a couple of Avengers in that as well. So, this works financially and they're going to keep on doing it. The hype for this movie has been huge. Not because people think that Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man ever or people want to go and see Zendaya. There are people who want to do that because we knew that Tobey Maguire, the best live-action Spider-Man of all time, certainly from my generation, was going to be in this movie. So it's going to be very interesting. So I'm very excited to see this film. Now, if you have seen the film and you want to send me spoilers to my Twitter, you can DM me. I'm very happy to receive spoilers because that means basically it clues me up to what I can see as a movie. If you want to send me a full review in my Twitter inbox, I'm at Movies TV Mad on Twitter. So if you want to send me spoilers and talk to me about the film, because I'd love to know. I love spoilers. I don't care. I'm happy to be spoiled. So at Movies TV Mad, if you want to continue this conversation. So this is Movies TV Mad. I'm Nick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again later for the DCEU Daily, the Doctor Who Daily, and the Manchester United Daily. Until then, goodbye. Peace.